Welcome to Natu Reads, an audio library of revolutionary texts. Heroic people of East Bengal. Our struggle has not yet finished. Carry on the great struggle to complete the unfinished National Democratic Revolution of East Bengal by Siraj Sikder. One. The people of East Bengal have struggled against the political, economic, cultural, and religious oppression of the British colonial bandits, their dependent reactionary jamindars, big feudal landlords, and jotedars, small feudal landlords. Capitalists and intellectuals, and joined Pakistan to get rid of exploitation and oppression. The Pakistani military fascists, rather than letting the national development of the people of East Bengal go freely, made East Bengal a field of exploitation and plunder, and made her their colony. For their national liberation, the people of East Bengal carried out a great struggle against this colonial exploitation and plunder, and tens of thousands of people sacrificed their lives in that struggle. The proletarian class could not assume leadership in that great struggle of the people of East Bengal, because of the betrayal by East Bengal's Liu Xiaoqi Khrushchevite Nambojapad, Jyoti Bosu, Deben Bashar, Kajirono, and Trotskyite Guevarist Motin Alauddin, etc., all different forms of revisionists. All these betrayed the proletarian class and people of East Bengal. As a result, the Awami League, the organization of East Bengal's bureaucratic bourgeoisie, feudalists, and intellectuals, took the leadership of the national struggle of East Bengal. They misled that struggle. First, they guided people towards the black path of parliamentary elections. When that path proved bankrupt, they guided the people towards the wrong path of non-cooperation. When POC military fascists jumped over people, that path also proved bankrupt. People waged armed rebellion. In some places, they led that sporadic rebellion, but that also failed. At last, the Awami League fled to India, keeping people in their helpless condition. In his greed for power, Mir Jafar brought the British bandits and handed over Bengal, Bihar, Orissa to them. That history was repeated in the changed situation of 1971. In their greed for power, representative of the reactionary bureaucratic bourgeoisie, intellectuals, and feudalists, the Awami League and the Moni Singh Muzaffar trader clique, having failed to liberate East Bengal based on their own strength, betrayed the national interest of 75 million people, sold East Bengal to Indian expansionism by trampling the dignity of the Bengali nation under their feet, and invited them, the Indian expansionists, to overthrow the POC military fascists. The Indian expansionists took the opportunity with the help and support of Soviet social-imperialism. In order to capture East Bengal, they formed the Bangladesh puppet government and established it as their stooge, formed their lackey liberation force under the control of their army to use it as the fodder for their artillery, and sent them to East Bengal to carry out sabotage activities. At last, they attacked Pakistan, captured East Bengal with their armed aggressor force, and established the puppet government of the Awami League betrayers. Thus, East Bengal became a colony of India, and the people of East Bengal were chained in subservience to Indian expansionism. The blood of tens of thousands of patriotic people of East Bengal was spilt in vain. The reactionary bureaucratic bourgeoisie, intellectuals, and feudalists inside the Awami League and its liberation force and other organizations, and the so-called communist Moni Singh Muzaffar revisionist bourgeoisie with its organizations, are protecting the interests of the Six Mountains: Soviet social imperialism, US-led imperialism, Indian bureaucratic capitalism, feudalism, the East Bengal bureaucratic bourgeoisie, and feudalism. They are the lackeys of those Six Mountains. The Bangladesh puppet government is protecting the interest of those Six Mountains. The Deben Bashar, Kajirono, Jyoti Bose, Nambojapad faction became stooges of the Six Mountains lackeys, and is serving the Six Mountains. 2. one aim of the Indian expansionists' attempt to establish a colony in East Bengal is to establish control and extract loot in all spheres of East Bengal, including jute, tea, leather, other raw materials, fish, meat, eggs, rice, vegetables, and other food materials, a market of 75 million people, cheap labor power, trade and business, industries, gas, electricity, natural resources, education, culture, an administrative system, defense, as well as to lessen the economic and political crisis of India. Another aim of the Indian expansionists is to destroy the struggle of the Indian workers and peasants, the liberation struggle of Nagamijo and Kashmiris, and to dominate the Indian Ocean and South Asia. The Soviet social imperialists have supported Indian expansionism with a view to strengthen their domination over India, to earn its cut in looting East Bengal, to dominate in the Indian Ocean, to contend with U.S. imperialism in Asia, and to resist China and communism. 3. Indian expansionists have started ruthless exploitation and plunder. In order to strengthen that exploitation and plunder, they have developed communication systems in the border areas. Fish, meat, eggs, vegetables, rice, and other foods are daily being transported to India by trucks, trains, and ships. Indian citizens are coming from Kolkata to border towns of East Bengal for marketing. Thus, Indian expansionists are looting the food materials of East Bengal. The Indian expansionists, during the time of seizure of East Bengal, looted hundreds of mounds of jute, tea, leather, and industrial raw materials. The Bangladesh puppet government withdrew the ban on India to buy raw materials, especially jute. Consequently, Indian businessmen are getting the opportunity to freely buy industrial raw materials of East Bengal, especially jute, and export them to foreign countries. Thus, Indian control over and appropriation of the raw materials of East Bengal has been established, and the competition of East Bengal jute with India in the international market ended. East Bengal's people have been deprived of foreign currency worth tens of millions of taka. Indian expansionists are smuggling lots of the whole industries, machineries, and parts of machinery of East Bengal to India. They are also smuggling numerous vehicles, gold, and silver of East Bengal, and foreign goods from the East Bengal market. As a result, it has not been possible to run many industries and factories in full or part of their production capacity. They are taking the electricity and gas of East Bengal to use in Indian industries. The aim of all this is to destroy the industries and factories of East Bengal, obstruct its development, and ensure that the industries of East Bengal are not able to compete with those of India. Another aim is to make the industries of East Bengal dependent on India. With that objective, they are trying to take over industries in the border areas of East Bengal by making them dependent on Indian electricity, oil, raw materials, etc. The markets are full of Indian commodities. These commodities are low grade but highly priced. The people of East Bengal are being compelled to buy them. Thus, the Indian expansionists are taking over the market of 75 million people of East Bengal and extracting tens of millions of taka in profit. As a result of this big process of importing commodities from India, selling them in the market, collecting goods from within East Bengal, and exporting those to India, the whole business and trade of East Bengal has become dependent on India and come under Indian control. The Indian expansionists took arms and other materials of surrendered Pak military fascists worth billions of taka to India, thus depriving the people of East Bengal of arms and other materials that are justly theirs. Indian companies are getting East Bengal's big reconstruction contracts. Consequently, the institutions of East Bengal are being deprived. Indian cinema, literature, art, and textbooks are capturing the markets of East Bengal, and as a result, the institutions of East Bengal engaged in those spheres are falling to serious crisis. They're trying to capture the East Bengal market through the national capitulationist literature and culture of Rabindranath, the representative of reactionary intellectuals dependent on British colonialism, feudalism, and bureaucratic capitalism, and by reactionary Indian expansionist culture and literature, so that public opinion may be shaped in favor of their exploitation and plunder, and so that the development of a national democratic literature and culture may be hindered, and they may reap financial profit. Indian expansionists, via the puppet government of Bangladesh, have devalued the Bangladeshi currency, and through the free running of Indian currency, have made the currency of East Bengal dependent on India's, and in this way are gaining big profits. Disguised as joint work, advising, supervision, aid, etc., they are controlling the government, semi-government, and autonomous institutions of East Bengal by employing additional employees and unemployed youths, and are transforming these into institutions under relevant Indian departments. The Indian expansionists are sending Indian citizens, armed goons of the Youth Congress, and spies to Bangladesh disguised as refugees. By infiltrating the Students' League, student wing of the Awami League, the Liberation Force, the Mujib Force, a counter-revolutionary private armed force, the East Bengal Regiment, Bangladesh Army, and the police, these agents have taken control of these institutions. Through their puppet government, they are cutting employment of patriotic employees with the excuse that they didn't support India. They are exhausting patriotic businessmen, industrialists, writers, artists, and different professionals, and depriving them of their livelihood and the opportunity to lead their lives. They are giving employment and other opportunities to those former lackeys of the POC military fascists who now wish to be lackeys of India. In the past, the POC military fascists, through the reactionaries inside Urdu-speaking migrant communities, were cheating Urdu-speaking people, motivating a section of them to carry out suppression of Bengali people. In the same way, the Indian expansionists too, by depending on the reactionary section and evil elements of Hindu jamindars, jotedars, capitalists, and intellectuals, are cheating general Hindu people, destroying the unity of Hindu and Muslim people of East Bengal, and are hatching a conspiracy to carry out exploitation and plunder of one section of people by motivating another. In some places of East Bengal, the reactionary Indian expansionist lackeys and bad elements of Hindu jamindars, jotedars, capitalists, and intellectuals are showing dishonor to the majority Muslim cultures and customs, and forcefully capturing the properties that they had sold to them, the Muslim people. Thus, religious inequality, and in some places, conspiracy of religious oppression over Muslim people, is going on in East Bengal. US-led imperialism and its lackey elements among the reactionary East Bengal Muslim jamindars, jotedars, capitalists, and intellectuals, PDP, Jamaat, Muslim League, and a section of the Awami League, by seizing the opportunity that religious oppression offers, are hatching a conspiracy to stir up violent communal clashes against common Hindu patriots, in service of making East Bengal a US colony. The demand of a so-called Muslim Bengal is a manifestation of this conspiracy. 4. In the pre-1947 period, the revisionist Communist Party of India didn't oppose religious oppression, which is a form of class oppression. As a result, the Muslim people of East Bengal, because of political, economic, and especially religious oppression by the British colonial bandits and their dependent Hindu reactionary jamindars, jotedars, capitalists, and intellectuals, supported the Pakistan demands of the pro-imperialist Muslim feudalists, bourgeoisie, and intellectuals, and joined Pakistan. Consequently, the conspiracy of British bandits to divide the subcontinent and carry out exploitation and plunder through their supporters was successful. At present, too, if the people of East Bengal don't oppose the religious oppression carried out by the Indian expansionists and their lackeys, and the US-led imperialist conspiracy to cause riots with it, then the possibility of rioting and the establishment of a colony in East Bengal by the imperialists will increase. Now, too, like in the past, different forms of revisionist traders, by remaining silent on this question, are aiding the communal and colonial conspiracies of the Indian expansionists and US-led imperialists. 5. The Indian expansionists are claiming that their aggressor troops returned back to India because their mission had been completed. Their mission was to establish a colony in East Bengal and make their stooge Six Mountains lackeys assume power. Because their lackey force, made up of the East Bengal Regiment, Bangladesh Army, Rohi Bahini, a notorious genocidal counter-revolutionary paramilitary force specially created and trained to suppress the Maoists, and the police are strong enough to protect their interests, it has been unnecessary to retain many Indian troops. They want to carry out their exploitation and plunder through Bengalis suppressing Bengalis. They want to keep military control over East Bengal with instructors, advisors, spies, and lackeys. Moreover, in many statements, the Bangladesh puppet government admitted that the defense of East Bengal is dependent on India, i.e., under India's control. They have sent many troops to suppress the revolutionary struggle of the people and the national minority masses of East Bengal. They even used the Air Force. Thus, the Indian expansionists have established control, appropriation, exploitation, and suppression in all spheres of East Bengal, and made her their colony and backyard. The Bangladesh government is nothing but their puppet government. Through open and secret agreements, the Six Mountains lackeys handed them the opportunity to carry out exploitation, plunder, control, and suppression, and they have sold East Bengal to India. In the past, the Japanese fascists used the slogan of developing the region, including Asia, as the weapon to establish a colony. The Indian expansionists are now mimicking that strategy and are using the slogan of democracy, socialism, and secularism as the weapon to establish their colony. In the Indian expansionist looting of this colony, Soviet social imperialism and other US-led imperialists are taking their share. They are carrying out their appropriation through building debt, unequal trade pacts, etc. Thus, the national revolution of East Bengal, that is, the end of foreign exploitation and appropriation, and the establishment of an independent and sovereign East Bengal, has remained unfinished. The great task of completing the democratic revolution through the distribution of lands among the peasantry by overthrowing feudal jamindars and jotedars remained unfinished too. By founding the panchayat system, village-level administrative unit of government, in the villages, the Six Mountains lackeys have established the rule of the reactionary rural, feudal, evil, and tyrannical jamindar, jotedar, Mohajan elements. Mohajan is a feudal usurer. To guard them, they have formed village defense forces and volunteer forces called bandit gangs. Thus, the national and democratic revolution of East Bengal remains unfinished. 6. Events of East Bengal prove that neither the bourgeoisie and intellectuals nor the feudalist class are able to accomplish the national democratic revolution. They betrayed their own and their national interests, sold their country and nation to foreigners, and compromised with domestic feudalism. That is why, inevitably, the great responsibility to complete the unfinished national democratic revolution of East Bengal falls on the proletarian class of East Bengal and its political party. Except a few Mir Jafar traders, the workers, peasantry, students, intellectuals, businessmen, industrialists, and servicemen of East Bengal, that is, the whole Bengali nation of East Bengal, will soon carry out massive struggles against the colonial exploitation and plunder of Indian expansionists, social imperialists and their lackeys. The great historic responsibility of the political party of the East Bengal proletariat is to lead that struggle, carry it out, and accomplish it in the correct way. As a result of the establishment of the Indian expansionists' occupation in East Bengal, the national contradictions of the people of East Bengal versus Pakistani military fascists have ended. At present, the following fundamental contradictions are responsible for the social development of East Bengal. 1. National contradiction of the people of East Bengal versus Indian expansionism. 2. National contradiction of the people of East Bengal versus Soviet social imperialism. 3. National contradiction of the people of East Bengal versus US-led imperialism. 4. Contradiction of US-led imperialism and its lackeys versus Soviet social imperialism, Indian expansionism, and their lackeys. 5. Contradiction of East Bengal feudalism versus the peasantry. 6. Contradiction of the East Bengal bourgeoisie versus the working class. The Indian expansionists, by carrying out aggressive war through their army, established their colony in East Bengal. This is why the national contradiction of the people of East Bengal versus Indian expansionism is principal among the above-mentioned contradictions. The way to resolve these contradictions is to smash and overthrow Indian expansionism and its running dog Six Mountains lackey national enemies, and the puppet government of Bangladesh by carrying out the armed national revolution in liberating East Bengal from the colonial chain of the Indian expansionists. Besides overthrowing Indian expansionism, another aim of this revolution will be to overthrow Soviet social imperialism and US-led imperialism from East Bengal, and to resolve the people of East Bengal's national contradiction with them. To smash and overthrow the pro-Indian expansionist, pro-social imperialist, and pro-imperialist feudal jamindars jotedars, we, as state enemies, must freely distribute their land and properties to landless peasants, lessen feudal exploitation of the pro-national liberation feudalists, and finally, overthrow feudalism. In this way, step by step, the democratic revolution will be carried out and completed. In the course of this national democratic revolution, as state enemies, we have to overthrow the bureaucratic bourgeoisie and reactionary intellectuals dependent on Indian expansionism, Soviet social imperialism, and imperialism. In the course of this national democratic revolution, we have to defend the pro-revolution bourgeoisie, fix the 8-hour working day for workers, and give them other opportunities. In the course of the national democratic revolution, patriotic Muslim, Hindu, and people of other religions of East Bengal must solidify their unity. They must oppose the religious oppression by the Indian expansionists and their lackey reactionary jamindars jotedars capitalists, intellectuals, and evil elements of Muslim people, as well as the conspiracy to use Hindu people in their expansionist interests. At the same time, they must oppose the communal conspiracy against patriotic Hindu people by US-led imperialism and their Muslim lackey jamindar jotedar capitalists, intellectuals, PDP, Jamaat, Muslim League, and a section of the Awami League, and evil elements by taking up religious oppression, as well as oppose the conspiracy of US-led imperialists to establish a colony in East Bengal. They must end all types of religious oppression and defend religious freedoms, rights, equality, and harmony. The fundamental guiding force of the unfinished national democratic revolution of East Bengal is the worker, peasant, petite bourgeoisie class alliance. The proletariat is the leader of this revolution. It is possible to carry out and accomplish the national democratic revolution of East Bengal through a national liberation war by applying the strategy and tactics of ruthless protracted people's war. We have to initiate this national liberation war through guerrilla war, and guerrilla groups should be formed from scratch, comprising workers, peasants, and revolutionaries. Should annihilate the Six Mountains national enemy lackeys with whatever means we have domestically. Should arm ourselves with the arms of the enemies. Should spread guerrilla war countrywide throughout East Bengal. In the course of guerrilla war, we have to take national liberation war to a higher level, establish bases in rural areas, forge regular forces, local guerrillas, village self-defense forces, and finally, we must seize the cities, carrying out higher levels of mobile wars, big encirclements and positional wars, and liberate the whole of East Bengal. The proletariat, on the basis of the worker-peasant alliance, will try to unify the national bourgeoisie, other patriotic individuals and groups, religious, linguistic, and ethnic minority groups and form a national liberation front. At the same time, they must oppose and criticize the mentality and activities of compromise, vacillation, and treachery of the bourgeoisie, feudalists, and intellectuals. In carrying out that revolution, we have to liberate the whole of East Bengal and establish an independent, democratic, peaceful, non-aligned, and progressive republic in East Bengal. The state system of that republic will be the proletarian-led, worker-peasant alliance-based, joint dictatorship state system of all the patriotic classes. In the course of carrying out this revolution in liberated areas, we have to establish the government of the independent, democratic, peaceful, non-aligned, progressive Republic of East Bengal. By carrying out and accomplishing the National Democratic Revolution of East Bengal, we have to resolve the problems of relations with Pakistan in a justified way in accordance with the people's aspirations. This includes state relations of East Bengal with Pakistan, returning Bengalis from within Pakistan, putting to trial and giving punishment to the Pakistani regime and military and civil personnel who committed genocide and fascist devastation in East Bengal, with interest returning the capital and valuable possessions that were transferred from East Bengal to Pakistan in the last 24 years. Returning back the historical materials that were transferred from East Bengal, problems of paying back foreign debt, taking appropriate compensation for their ruthless devastation, killing, rape, and misappropriation in East Bengal. In this way, through the National Democratic Revolution, we have to initiate and carry out socialist revolution to resolve the contradiction of the working class versus the bourgeoisie. 7. In order to carry out the people's liberation struggle of East Bengal in the correct way, we need a correct political party of the proletariat. With that objective, in 1968, preparatory organization of the East Bengal Workers Movement was established by taking Marxism-Leninism Mao Zedong thought as its guiding theoretical basis. From the beginning of its formation, the East Bengal Workers Movement carried out armed struggle against the colonial exploitation and plunder of the POK military fascists. Cadres and guerrillas of the East Bengal Workers Movement threw bombs on the Pakistan Council, U.S. Information Center, and BNR, and for the first time initiated a guerrilla war of national liberation in Fatickchari and Chittagong through the annihilation of national enemies. During and after March 25, even facing the severe fascist repression of PAK military fascists, cadres of the East Bengal Workers Movement, by not fleeing to India, but rather relying on the people's strength, guided people to a liberation war against the PAK military fascists in the correct way. Guerrillas of the East Bengal Workers Movement carried out guerrilla war by capturing arms from the national enemies and POK military fascists. Soon, more than 8 guerrilla fronts, liberated zones, and regular forces developed in the districts of Barisal, Faridpur, Patuakhali, Dhaka, Pabna, Tangel, etc., and guerrilla war spread like a prairie fire. Thus, the East Bengal Workers Movement, by correctly carrying out armed liberation war on the basis of self-reliance, forged an example of the correct path for the whole Bengali nation. On 3 June 1971, in the midst of the roaring artillery fire of the POK military fascists, the political party of the proletariat of East Bengal, the Proletarian Party of East Bengal, developed to guide the people of East Bengal along the correct path. The Six Mountains lackeys marked the Proletarian Party of East Bengal as the only obstacle in establishing and continuously carrying out exploitation and plunder by the Six Mountains in East Bengal. They attacked us, ruthlessly murdered many of our guerrillas, cadres, sympathizers, and masses, trapping people in fake discussion, blackened their hands with our blood, and occupied our liberated zones. Thus, they temporarily blocked the liberation struggle we were correctly carrying out. Following the counter-revolutionary seizure of power of East Bengal, they strengthened their repression and plunder. They are carrying out loot, murder, banditry, abduction, rape, forcible fund collection, setting the country ablaze like the POK military fascists. they're also making mass killing grounds like the POC military fascists. They're suppressing and controlling employees of the government and non-government institutions. In this way, they have turned this country into a lawless region. Like Hitler's massacre of the Jews, criminal or innocent, they are mass murdering Urdu-speaking people, killing children, youth, the elderly, and women. As a consequence of exploitation and appropriation by them and their Indian expansionist masters, the price of daily goods have skyrocketed. Hundreds of thousands of people have become unemployed, and people are starving or in near-starving conditions. Innumerable events prove that the democracy that the Six Mountains lackeys want is their fascist dictatorship. The socialism they want is exploitation and plunder by them. The secularism they want is religious oppression over Muslim people and suppression over the obstacle of the Muslim religion in maintaining the Indian colony in East Bengal. The nationalism they want is national capitulation, subservience, and the cleansing of the national minorities and Urdu speakers. Mujivism is national capitulation and fascism. Serious anger and hatred have been created among the people of East Bengal. People are realizing that there is no difference between the POC military fascists and the Six Mountains lackeys. People have fallen from the mouth of a snake into the mouth of a tiger. People's consciousness in East Bengal has reached a much higher stage in the last 9 months' revolutionary storm. They achieved a developed political standard and are not afraid of death. They have begun to struggle against the Six Mountains lackeys and their masters. Workers of East Bengal have started a general strike, processions, and the Gherao encirclement struggle. Small servicemen, businessmen, students, and intellectuals started to struggle too. Peasants have started to struggle against the Six Mountains lackey jotedars, jamindars, and other bad elements. Thus, the mountains lackeys are being isolated from the people, their veil is being ripped off, and the people are realizing their hoaxes and betrayal, like Mir Jafar, who handed over Bengal and India to the British bandits. Serious mass struggles have started to overthrow the Six Mountains lackeys, Indian expansionism, social imperialism, and imperialism. Infighting among the Six Mountains lackeys has become acute. Even armed clashes, killings, and abductions are going on among themselves. To avoid crisis, they are begging here and there for foreign aid. But nothing can save them from their fall. The people will finally bury them with their masters like they did to the POC military fascists. Taking advantage of the unpopularity of the Awami League fascists and the popularity of socialism, the Rope Group, which had once formulated Mujivism, now the National Socialist Party, argued for the establishment of socialism through so-called class struggle and social revolution, but are hatching a conspiracy to seize power in East Bengal to establish a colony of US-led imperialists. Like the Awami League fascists, their fall is also inevitable. 8. The Awami League fascists and their lackeys, besides tightening the suppression of the people, are also increasing participation in the Naxal suppression campaign of Indian expansionism, social imperialism, and imperialism, in resisting China and communism, and the reactionary activities of intervening in neighbors' countries' internal affairs. As a result, the proletarian revolutionaries of East Bengal will have to carry out their activities secretly. They should seize the opportunities for open work, keeping the party name secret to help the armed struggle. East Bengal revolutionaries must establish and consolidate fraternal cooperation with Indian proletarian revolutionaries, unite with the great struggle led by Indian proletarian revolutionaries, Naga, Mijo, and Kashmiri national liberation struggles, and hand in hand, overthrow the center of reaction of South Asia, Indian expansionism. We hold in our memory the comrades who were martyred by the Awami fascists, flesh and blood of the people and greatest son of East Bengal, Comrade Chunnu, who till his last breath chanted, "Long live independent Bengal, long live Comrade Siraj Sikder, long live the Proletarian Party of East Bengal." Comrades Hiru, Nasrul, Anis, Shashanka, Tillu, Taher, Bolas, Side, Reis, and others, guerrillas Mannan, Mojed, and others. Comrades who were killed by the PAC military fascists, Comrade Pinto and others. Those killed in accidents, Comrade Shaheen and others. Disappeared comrades and guerrillas, and tens of thousands of people who were martyred in the liberation struggle of East Bengal. Let us march forward, develop the political party of the proletariat of East Bengal, the Proletarian Party of East Bengal, by following the path of formation of a regular force led by the proletariat in Payarabagan for the first time in the history of East Bengal. Let us build the armed patriotic force as the main form of organization under the party. Build the National Liberation Front of East Bengal by unifying all patriotic people on the basis of the Worker-Peasant Alliance. Let us continue to carry out the National Liberation guerrilla war through the annihilation of the national enemy Six Mountains lackeys. Take blood and retaliation for the blood of martyred comrades, guerrillas, and friends, and persist in armed struggle. Through that, let us build the party, the Armed Patriotic Force and National Liberation Front, and through the barrel of the gun, build an independent, democratic, peaceful, non-aligned, progressive Republic of East Bengal. Complete the unfinished National Democratic Revolution of East Bengal. Down with the traitor clique of the Liu Shaoqi Khrushchev of East Bengal, Huk Toha, Jyoti Bose Nabunjapad of East Bengal, Deben Basar, Kajirono Amol Sen, and East Bengal's Trotsky Che Motin Alauddin. Long live the Proletarian Party of East Bengal. Long live Comrade Siraj Sikder. Complete the unfinished National Democratic Revolution of East Bengal. Long live the National Liberation Front of East Bengal. Long live the Armed Patriotic Force of East Bengal. Establish an independent, democratic, peaceful, non-aligned, progressive Republic of East Bengal.